greatest symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Arn. And of course, we can't do it without the Hall of Famer himself, the creator of the Spine Buster, the founder of the Four Horsemen. He is Double A. He is the enforcer. He is Arn Anderson. Arn, how are you, man?
Mr. Thompson, I'm wonderful. How are you?
Man, better than I deserve. So excited to be covering JCP from 1986 with you. And boy, have we got a big episode today. It's February of 86. And we get started with TV taping from the old WTBS studios. And man, there's going to be some news here because the national tag team titles haven't been defended in a timely manner since, unfortunately, Ole Anderson put hard times on Ole. So there's going to be some repercussions of that. You hate to see it. As we know, Jim Crockett Jr. is going to make an appearance alongside the television champion yourself, Arn Anderson. And he says the national tag team titles have to be officially vacated because of the injury to Ole Anderson. He sustained that injury on January 1st. It's been more than 30 days. And as Crockett's walking away, you're yelling at him. This is great stuff, man. But it is a way to explain what's going on and what's happening and maybe lead to some hurt feelings. What do you remember of this?
I probably remember that if I was yelling at Jim Crockett, he took it out of the check, much in the words of the Iron Sheik. Oh, he take it out of the check. Cheap shot.
Great stuff, man. That's the reason that Ole's not around in quote unquote storyline. To the best of your recollection, was it time for him? This isn't the infamous, I got to go watch my kid wrestle. He just needed to get out of the race car and go tend to his other businesses, as best you recall.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess he just, we were running hard.
Yeah.
And he didn't sign up for working every day, I don't think. But as Jim Crockett Promotions flamed up, Anderson's name got wrote down on every day of that calendar. And I'm not sure he signed up for that. And I think he just needed some time off. When you got 7 kids, you better be home occasionally.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we start the month with some promos from you on Worldwide. Let's take a listen.
The world television champion, Arn Anderson, minus a championship.
Yeah, David talking. But the fact that the national tag team strap is not here is conspicuous. It's not the fact that we got beat. As you well know, nobody's beat us. But the NWA has saw fit to strip us of that simply because the injury to Ole Anderson is worse than we thought. Now, you got to admit, you've known him a long time. If he would have been physically able to come out here and defend this belt, he would have. So I'm going to put that aside. But what I am going to do, Dusty Rhodes, number one, is hold you personally accountable. It's your fault. You and those 200-300-pound Road Warriors hurt him, broke his leg on purpose. That's the reason that you delved into my money supply. When they stripped us of those belts, you got into my bank account, and I take that personally. But we're going to move on to something more important. You send a painted lady out here to insult me, to threaten me, to tell me I'm next. If this is what you consider yours, this is what you want. There's not going to be any sanctioning body come on the scene and tell me that we're going to take this away from you. This is going to have to be taken from me in 20 minutes, and you're going to have to take it physically. And you just remember one thing, Dusty Rhodes, and you remember it well, or anybody else that wants to come and try to get my meal ticket. There's not a man on the face of the earth can beat me in 20 minutes, period. And you remember that too, David Crockett. This is mine.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the ring.
I like that you're bringing it back up. We talked about it last week when it looked like Magnum had you pinned. And of course, baby fans were all excited thinking, oh, this is going to be it. He's going to lose the TV championship, but that didn't happen. You're really reinforcing that whole 20-minute thing here. I dig it.
It has lasted the test of time. I can't tell you how many fans I run into at signings or or different places or AEW shows, and they go, you know, I really like that 20-minute TV title stipulation, because as it grew and people started to catch on, now it wasn't a, you know, just an anybody come along challenge for it. That list of challengers started to grow in, you know, prosperity, positioning. Some top guys started to get interested in that TV title. And once the quality of opponent went up, that could be a main event for every TV show.
Great stuff, man. Of course, there wasn't just one syndicated show back then. There were multiples. But before we play some clips from the Mid-Atlantic syndicated show, I want to come back to that same episode of Worldwide where you're not solo. You're joined by Tully Blanchard and JJ Dillon. Let's take a listen.
Champion Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard Enterprises.
David Crockett, it amazes me how the dogs they are, this, that, and the other. What you see is a plan by the Midnight Express and Jim Cornette to force the Rock and Roll Express to put the world's titles up. That's all it is.
But it takes 3 of them, right?
So it just takes a little intimidation to get them to sign the contract. That's a philosophy that I've done before. Arn's done before.
And it backfired on you, didn't it?
No, it doesn't. It gets them in the ring. It gets the titles on the line, David Crockett. And that's the bottom line. It gets the money matches going. What happened to mine? Your brother and you and Magnum TA took a little payoff under the table. And that's what happened to mine. Because as these fans holler, I quit. Dusty Rhodes likes to say, I quit. But you watched it. Everybody around the country watched it. And the words never crossed my lips. James J.
You know, there's an old saying, what goes around comes around. And here's the situation.
You better believe
where now the American dream has got to haul her around. And he's got to live with the fact that he made the biggest mistake of his life ever come out and taking up for her, because it's got to be embarrassing for her on many situations to even be seen with her. And as far as Magnum TA is concerned, he's out there holding the U.S. title belt around his waist, and it's got to be a bit of embarrassment to him to know that in time he's not going to be able to hold on to that title. And then what's he going to make in the way of excuses when the time comes that the likes of Mr. Tully Blanchard Enterprises can proudly wear the United States Championship belt or the National Heavyweight belt?
JJ, not to interrupt you, the thing is right here, you got 2 of the 4 horsemen. 1 down, 3 left. Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, any combination, anytime, the greatest tag team on the face of the earth.
Man, how great is Tully? Is Tully one of the more underrated promos of all time? I mean, I think it's probably just because he, quote unquote, left the game for so long. But man, I don't think enough people put him on like their Mount Rushmore of promos. But he was believable. He was assholey, and you wanted to punch that guy in the face, man. He was everything you want in a bad guy.
That's a real good word. That ain't a word.
Assholean.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not a word. Thank you for that. As intelligent as you are, if you could turn something into a word that ain't a word and it sound completely plausible, congrats, young man.
Well, I tried to say it intentionally. You know, we've learned that last week here on the program. Intentionally.
No, I'm not an English major. I'm from the South. So are you.
Yeah. You created the Spine Buster, and I created a bunch of podcasts. I think you win. Advantage Anderson.
No, there's all those other little things that you know, your businesses that might have put you over the top, you know, where you bail people out of rough situations financially and save their lives and shit. Yeah, that puts you over the top. Everybody hated Tully.
Yeah.
I had fans for some reason. I don't know why. I would try to turn them on me, but they just, I don't know. They just, maybe some of the power moves were, you know, tipped him a little bit to my favor, but everybody universally hated Tully. And yeah, he was good on the stick.
The other syndicated show was the Mid-Atlantic show. Let's take a listen to that one. Again, this is February 1st, man. We're starting February off hot. A lot of shows on that very same day, the 1st of the month.
Fans, welcome to Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. And we got an exciting hour in store for you. You're going to see several champions during this hour, including our Mid-Atlantic champion, Sam Houston, the World Tag Team Champions, Rock and Roll Express. We're going to see Baron von Raschke as he returns for the first time in a long, long time. And this man right here, Arn Anderson, will be defending the World's Television Championship during this hour. Arn?
Just like I said I would each and every time I get on national television, Bob. But I got to put that aside for a moment. I want to talk about one thing and one thing only, and that's the fact that Dusty Rhodes' leg has healed. He has no need, no reason to be wearing that steel-toed boot, which is a workman's boot. They wear those for protection. The ankle is healed. I don't think he ever needed the boot to begin with, but I want to know why the NWA, Jim Crockett Promotions, has not done anything about the boot. Can you tell me about that, Bob?
No, I cannot.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you. I talked to Joseph Iswanik, not my doctor, Dusty Rhodes' doctor. He himself told me and will tell the whole world that Dusty Rhodes no longer has the need for that boot. Dusty Rhodes just came out here. He sent his stooge out here, David All, to tell me I'm next. He heard Ole Anderson with that boot. Now he's told me I'm next. Bob Collar, what would happen if I came out on national television and told you I was fixing to put you in the hospital? They'd lock me up. Well, Dusty Rhodes, I'm not going to put the law on you. We are now under martial law, and that means every man for himself, period.
All right, fans, you heard it from Arn Anderson, and we're going to be hearing later in this hour from Dr. Iswan.
When you finish that promo, you're mean mugging the camera. You walk towards the camera on your way to the ring or to the backstage area, what have you, but you're mean mugging the camera. Did you have like, of course, these days we hear in WWE, part of your training is, hey, you got to learn to work three sides of the ring, meaning be aware of where the hard camera is. And this is sort of the infancy of TV becoming national. It was previously just mostly regional TV, but now with the syndicated networks growing, and of course you guys have WTBS, it's a big time program that a ton of people are seeing. Were there guys who were giving you sort of best practice tips for how to be a quote unquote television wrestler as we transition more from a regional territory promotion to, hey, we're a TV wrestler now? Was there someone who was giving you sort of tips and tricks, or are you learning it as you go?
Not really. I think we were feeling it out as we went. There's a rule that now, I'm sure it's still a rule, you don't look straight into the camera with some companies. For me, I was having a love affair with that camera.
Yeah.
That was right there. I was having a very passionate love affair. There's nothing more fun than doing promos. If you have a personal matter you could talk about, even better. But that's how you get yourself over. And by looking into that camera, I was talking to not only to the millions of people that were watching, but I was talking to my opponent. Obviously, he wasn't out there. So by looking into that camera, it felt like you were addressing them personally. And that was really the only thing that mattered in those times. You had that one camera that was a fixed camera for the promos at the desk. And then you had Jackie Crockett floating around out there with a handheld. And that was pretty much it for the camera coverage of that day. That's really all you needed for a studio TV. Could have used something bigger and probably a little better for the house show televisions, but for studio TV, we're pretty much just winging it.
Well, we're cooking with gas here because we mentioned we got the WTBS show that happened on February 1st. And we've already announced that, that's when you're stripped of the television titles, or the national tag titles. The next day, though, you find yourself doing a matinee in Charlotte at the Coliseum. That was not super common, matinees at the Coliseum. We've got 12,000 fans here. 10,200 were paid. It is an official sellout. You're going to be working with Manny Fernandez. You get the win where Manny hit you with a crossbody, but you used his own momentum against him, held the tights, you damn dirty cheater, and got the win. The next day, you find yourself at the Omni. 10,000 fans are there, and we're doing something kind of special, man. It's Superstars on the Superstation. This is a big time show. They're going to do a big angle with Dusty Rhodes and a pile driver, and Tully Blanchard is going to leave in possession of the national title. So he's off to the races in a big way. But before the cameras start rolling, you're working with Jimmy Valiant. And I don't think people knew what this was at the time, but Superstars on the Superstation was the precursor for Clash of the Champions, a special event. And it's going to air not live, but 5 days later, but still a special event in a special slot on the Superstation. What do you remember about Superstars on the Superstation?
Yeah, it was a precursor to exactly what you said, Clash of the Champions, which for those that don't know was a free pay-per-view on pretty much on live television, correct?
Yep, on TBS.
So you were getting what would be in those days, a pay-per-view quality show. And it turned out to be a huge success for the company.
Let's mention that the train keeps on rolling. Of course, now that we've got Superstars on the Superstation behind us, or at least in the can, February 4th, you're doing a TV taping for the syndicated show that would air on the 8th. And that's happening in Spartanburg, South Carolina. There you'd work with the Italian Stallion, give him plenty of time too, 10.5 minutes. And after the bout, you do a promo, and you're talking about how Dusty doesn't have his national heavyweight championship. Instead, he's off filming a movie. Great stuff, man. Let's take a listen. This is from February 8th.
Fans with us right now, the world television champion, Arn Anderson. Arn, right now, all the wrestling fans are aware of the fact that the NWA held up the National Tag Team Championship due to the fact that you and Oldie could not defend the title.
Well, Bob Cottle, I'm as miserable as a man can possibly be for the simple fact that Ole Anderson is not back, for the simple fact that the injury he had at the hands of Dusty Rhodes and the Road Warriors is worse than we anticipated. And you've known him for a long time. I've known him, and anybody that knows him, period, knows if he would have been physically able, he would have defended that title. So Dusty Rhodes, I'm holding you responsible personally for the fact that you've dipped into my meal ticket. You've dipped into my financial situation. Nobody has beat us for the national tag team titles, although a lot have tried. So they've just tamed and stripped it away. But I'm going to put that aside for a moment. And Manny Fernandez, I'm going to mention you very briefly. You're out here singing the blues, crying about what happened to you 10 years ago in some swamp in Vietnam. Well, 10 years ago, Manny Fernandez, I was in 11th grade in high school, driving every cheerleader in the county out of her mind. So that's my good fortune and your bad fortune. The fact is, this is 1985. This is the prize, and you want to come get it. You're going to be dealing with a world champion in an elite class with Tully Blanchard, Ric Flair, and myself. Now, we may be down to the 3 Horsemen, but I'm going to tell you something, Dusty Rhodes. No promotion, whether it be Jim Crockett, Bob Goddard, or anybody else, is going to come to me and say, Arn, hand this over. You don't deserve it. You can't defend it, or for whatever reason, there's going to be no stipulations, and don't send no painted lady out here to threaten me. If you want this, Dusty Rhodes, I'm holding you personally responsible. If you want this, you're going to have to physically take it and everything that entails.
Man, you're feeling it right here. When you listen to these promos back, do you think, can you tell, boy, I was into that one, or I was going through are you able to critique your own stuff?
Yeah. And let me just reiterate, I was a pretty hot commodity with the cheerleaders in Rome, Georgia about that time.
I wouldn't doubt that at all.
Yeah, they were digging me. Shades of things to come, I guess. I was just getting more comfortable in my own skin and able to pick up the intensity when you needed it without screaming and hollering. I tried to avoid that at all. So that the one time I did scream and holler, I knew that I would, and everybody else knew I was out of sync and somebody had really gotten to me. That was the idea, that I was blowing up and out of control and all that stuff. So if you kept it at an intense level, promo wise, and then you lowered the volume to make them want to lean in and really listen to what you were saying, and you could put some evil stuff in there if you talked low and direct, and right to the point. And then when you needed to explode, you needed to explode. The main thing is we were getting a lot of reps, and because the TV's airing the way they are, and as I'm seeing this, it reiterates it. You had to be sure that you went back and you covered every subject in order.
Right.
You know, when they're shot out of order, it's kind of difficult, and you had to make sure, okay, what's aired. And that's just doing your homework. That's being a professional and keeping up with what you should be talking, so you don't say something that hasn't happened yet on TV. And it was all just part of the learning process and becoming a pro.
Well, let's mention that the stuff with Baby Doll is starting to heat up. We're even going to have a confrontation that same weekend, February 8th. This is on the Worldwide show. So Arn's here.
Champion Arn Anderson. Mr. Anderson.
David Crockett, will you listen to this mess?
Yeah, listen
Do
to
I have to listen to this? Every building I go, no matter where I go in the country, no matter what mall I go to, I can't even go out to a restaurant. All I hear is people chanting. Cooks from the back room hollering, Dusty's going to get you. Dusty's going to do this. Dusty's going to do this. I got to be insulted by some fry cook at Denny's and wherever it is, Saskatchewan or whatever. I got to come to these arenas and be insulted. Nobody's going to break my leg. I'm the world television champion. If Dusty Rhodes wants this belt, all he's got to do is beat me inside 20 minutes to do it. That's all in the world he's got to do. He's got 20 minutes to take this and put down all. And what is this? What is this? What is this? This is my interview time. What's going on here?
Arn Anderson told you were next. Maybe this will fit.
What is that? Get out of a painted room. No dog's gonna come out here and stand me. What's the matter? What's going on my leg? What is she trying to tell me?
It looks like a cat, doesn't it?
Are you telling me she just came out on national television and threatened to break my leg?
She did say you were next, if I remember correctly.
That's a criminal act. That's a criminal act. I ought to have her arrested.
They said only, and they did it. Now they said you.
Shut these people up. I got a point to put. Okay, Dusty Rhodes, you've laid the foundation. You had your stooge come out here. If this is what you want, I'm not going to have you locked up. This is martial law. Every man for himself. You want to break my leg? Let's see if you're man enough to do it.
Hamburger.
I love that she came out and threw a leg cast at you. That's great stuff, man.
Should have had her arrested. Yeah, as simple as it was, it really was. And this, you know, it's funny that we talk about that in the very next interview. That felt like a guy that was out of sync.
Yeah.
That was, you know, frazzled.
Yeah.
And it fit perfect right there with the point I was trying to make. So that when that did happen occasionally and it got you off your game and it had you completely flipped and your sentences weren't making sense and all that, they went, Jesus Christ, this guy's off the deep end. And it fit the cast, the whole visual of the cast and what their intentions were. So that was the idea.
And of course, in real life, she's hanging out with Sam Houston. I bring him up because he's your opponent here on February 8th on World Championship Wrestling. We're not going to play the whole match here, but there is a bit of a situation afterwards. I think we get a little promo and explanation. So we'll take a listen to that as the match starts to wind down here.
Arn Anderson, here it is. World Television's title, and it is still yours. And I know you're probably short of breath right now. Heck of a match. I mean, the young man really gave you a tussle out there.
Very formidable opponent. Very talented. A lot of guts.
Protege of Dusty Rhodes, I might say, also.
Same style. A lot of guts, a lot of fight, a lot of heart. But the bottom line is a little bit short on talent. Now, Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TA, Rock and Roll Express, Manny Fernandez, I don't care who you are. The bottom line is, this is mine. I earned it.
Jim Crockett's not going to take it. David Crockett's not going to take it. Dusty Rhodes, you want this. You got to beat me for it in less than 20 minutes.
Still the World Television.
Driving it home again, man, in less than 20 minutes.
That's the idea. And it was catching on.
Yeah, I would say so. I want to mention that you're back on the road on the 12th. You're in action at the Dorton Arena, going to a draw with Ron Garvin. And the next time I can see you compete is the 15th in Greensboro. Second from the top, we got Flair and Garvin on top, but the national heavyweight champion Dusty Rhodes taking on the TV champion Arn Anderson in a co-main. The Cumberland County Memorial. Let's see a TV taping on February 17th, working with Rocky Carnoodle. On the 18th, you're going to lose a match by disqualification to Manny Fernandez in Greenville, South Carolina. You're doing double duty that day. And when guys used to say, I work, X amount of times a week and twice on Sunday, that was no exaggeration. I mean, here we are on the 18th and you're working double duty, also in Rock Hill, South Carolina. So 2 shots in South Carolina that day. But then come the 21st, you're back in Richmond taking on Magnum. And then on the 22nd, you're going to be doing TV again on WTBS. And we're going to play some clips from that. But before we do, it does feel like there's some gaps here. Were there some times in February where you were nursing an injury, you just weren't scheduled, you had some personal stuff going on, but it does feel like there's a few gaps here and there where you're not on a run of shows?
I bet I was there. I just wasn't on TV.
I got you.
You know, it was just something that maybe didn't fit the story they were telling. Maybe they were going to give our opponents some TV time that week or whatever, but I can assure you it was not days off.
Well, you're hard at it on the 15th, or at least we think so, because that's when this promo airs from Mid-Atlantic. We've got that and then a little confrontation on another syndicated show. Let's take a listen to this one. It's you and Bob Cottle.
Fans, we're here with the world's television champion, Arn Anderson. Arn, you've still got the big man, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes on your mind. You said he hit you where it hurt you the most, and that was right in the pocketbook.
Well, Bob Cottle, you can take a look at this face, and you can tell I've been smacked around a lot in my life. I've had teeth knocked out. I've had my nose broke. I've had my knee torn up. I've had my back hurt. I'm no, injury is part of the game. Right. But Dusty Rhodes, when you and that boot, that loaded boot, that ball peen hammered boot, put my partner, Ole Anderson, out of wrestling for I don't know how long. And listen to this garbage. You dipped into my checking account. You dipped into my savings account. I'm no longer one half of the National Tag Team Champions, Bob. Yeah, and I have to listen to this garbage in every arena I go to. Well, Dusty Rhodes, you hit me where it hurt, and that's in the pocketbook. That's exactly right. But the bottom line is I achieved this on my own. This is the prize. You claim this is yours. You got 20 minutes, Dusty Rhodes. If you want this, don't send your stooge baby doll out here to get it. You come out here and you be man enough to take it physically. That goes for you, Manny Fernandez. I don't want you sticking your nose in my business. That goes for you, Magnum TA. That goes for Rock and Roll Express. Anybody wants this, they got to beat me in 20 minutes. And Bob Cottle, there's not a man on the face of this earth can beat me in 20 minutes, period. So, Dusty, don't look for me. I'm looking for you.
There you have it, and that's the world.
I like that, man. Dusty, don't look for me. I'm looking for you. Right in the camera. That's good stuff.
It personalized it, I think. Something for everybody to remember. I know that these promos sound out of order and redundant in the content. They were, but you had to remember in those days, some people did not have cable.
That's right.
You had to make sure on those syndicated shows that you were covering all the angles. It was the right week. Give them your best stuff, so that when you got to 6:05 on Saturday, it was just, you knew everything had been covered for whatever week it had been shot for, the previous syndicated shows. And we just had to make sure they were all in sync. And sometimes the content sounded redundant, and maybe it was, but you had to reach all those households.
Let's do something that's not redundant. This is from Worldwide. That was Mid-Atlantic we just listened to. This is the other syndicated show, Worldwide. You're going to wrestle Denny Brown, and then there's a dust up with Dusty Rhodes. We're going to try to find that piece here. So you had a submission move on Denny Brown. It looks like you were refusing to release the hold. Dusty jumped the rail. He's in his gear. He's not in street clothes. You're checking on Denny. You're across the ring just eyeballing. The referees raised your hand. Dusty's trying to ease Denny Brown out. Baby Doll's there for the assist. Concerned for their friend, the old junior heavyweight champion. And now you came in and get a bionic elbow. Let's listen to the crowd as he's working on that leg.
Making sure that Denny Brown gets out of there and no more injuries done to that leg. He's got it locked. He's got the figure four locked in. Arn's right in the middle of the ring. Tully comes in. Dusty's trying to fight Tully. They're inside the ring. They're down on the floor. They're starting to pound away at each other. They've got him. Arn Anderson's out there. Tully. All the men to him. They use the power. They come Dusty with the World Television title belt. They're really starting to pound away on him.
Magnum comes in and the fans go wild as he makes the save for Dusty.
He goes over to his friend. His brother.
Baby Doll now in the ring with Magnum and Dusty. Dusty still left laying. The show's going to go off the air. We start to see the credits.
With his work.
But boy, Baby Doll had called her shot and said, Arn, you're next. You maybe took it a little too far with one of their friends. Dusty says the time is now. He gets the jump on you with the bionic elbow. Figure four, the same move that put Ole Anderson on the shelf. She had just delivered that cast, that leg cast to you. Tully makes the save. It's a 2-on-1, and then here comes Magnum, and man, the fans were just electric for that.
I guess where Baby Doll is concerned, that would be a stand and deliver moment.
Yeah.
She said it was going to happen, and by God, it did. And it just keeps reintroducing Magnum into that circle of guys. And in those days, every time we would get a rub from him or he would get one for us, it just kept us in that golden circle that, you know, of matches that they wanted to see because you kept putting the twists and the turns into it.
I want to mention you're going to get another match with Denny Brown on TV, on not just syndicated, but now on TBS. You're going to win with the Gourd Buster. This is the 22nd. Let's take a listen.
The Gourd Buster puts out Denny Brown and Arn Anderson wins. Wait a minute, Dusty Rhodes comes in. Battle. Wait a minute, look at this. Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TA, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson. Do we have it? Do we have another match? Rick, do we have another match? Come on, they want you in there.
David, let me say something to you. It's just like Rhodes and Magnum TA to want a man to slip out of about $15,000 worth of goods and get in the ring, and then want a man that just competed against a world champion and beat him right in the middle of the ring. It's 20 minutes of hard wrestling. That's what kind of guys they are. They want to come out here and challenge me when I'm all dressed up, and they want to jump on Double A after he just wrestled 20 minutes.
All right, watch this. World Television Champion Arn Anderson picks the World Junior Heavyweight Champion Denny Brown up, and he takes him with a Gourd Buster, rams his face right in the mat. Your winner, Arn Anderson.
Anytime I'm in the building, or my cousin Ric Flair's in the building, it just makes me want to show out a little bit. He always told me, he said, you know, I've been a champion all my life. If you want to run with me, if you want to uphold the family name, it's real simple. All you got to do is beat the cream of the crop in the middle where there's no argument, no belly aching, and become a world champion. And Tony Schiavone, I've done like I said I would. Week after week, I did exactly what Dusty Rhodes wouldn't do. Come on national television and defend it in front of top competitors in the world today. So I don't want to hear any garbage out of you, or any of these goofs out here, because I've earned it. I am the world television champion, and in the words of my famous cousin Ric Flair, whether you like it or not, there ain't nothing you can do about it. That includes you, Dusty Rhodes.
You know, Tony, it's got to be real difficult for anybody, any of our peers, so to speak, in the wrestling world, to stand before us when we're loaded with our armor. Both of these say the one thing: world champion. Both of us, world champion in our own right. And we're going to be teamed up in that Jim Crockett Sr.
Rick, 1 minute. Go ahead,
Let's talk about some of the peers. One of your peers, obviously, Ron Garvin. And we'd like to take a look at a film clip right here, a match you and Ron Garvin,
Why are you
60-minute
Ron Garvin?
60-minute time limit draw.
Ron Garvin,
And you called Ron Garvin back into the ring. Here's what happened.
What are you trying to bring this on TV for, huh? Where did you get this film?
This film provided, of course, Jim Crockett Promotions, Tommy Young, the referee.
More collusion, Tony Schiavone. Lopsided commentation. As you see, where's Ronnie Garvin? Flat of his can, gasping for air. Is Ric Flair, is his derby bulging? No, it's not. Is he breathing hard? No, it's not. Ronnie Garvin, I think I heard him say it once or twice. I quit. No guts, no intestinal fortitude, and the world champion is eating his lunch.
This is propaganda right here. I know exactly what they're doing.
Sure it is.
This is propaganda.
Well,
hey, you keep your mouth shut, or you'll be out of the studio, buddy.
Tony Schiavone, just one question. Is a closed fist illegal or not? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Okay, it is.
That's
The man is
move.
down.
It's just like hitting the man in the head
got
with a ball
knocked
peen.
out.
It's illegal, they were talking.
The world heavyweight champion, Ric Flair, you are knocked out by Ron Garvin.
That's the biggest fluke I've ever seen or ever heard of in my entire life. Couldn't happen again in a million years.
Okay, now, like we said, after the match was over, 60-minute draw, called him back to the ring, and that's what happened.
You know, it never ceases to amaze me. I'm standing out here with Arn Anderson, the world television champion. I'm standing out here so custom made that designer magazines all over the country are looking for me, and you never stop trying to insult me. Well, Garvin, that was after the 60 minutes was over, and that referee had no right counting 1, 2, 3. And the bottom line is, Garvin, if you keep messing around with me, the same thing's gonna happen to you that happened to Dusty Rhodes, and you pass that along.
World champions, Arn Anderson.
Pass that along on a very serious note.
Arn Anderson, the world TV champion, and Ric Flair. David, we needed to show that.
That's right,
He was talking about his peers, and Ron Garvin, one of his peers, knocked him out. We'll be right.
Man, how about the crowd when you're leaving? Boo. I mean, that was like, it's exactly what you wanted in the 80s, is it not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, to this day, I get more pleasure out of people that come up to me and not saying that we loved you guys, but going, man, my grandmother hated your guts.
Absolutely.
That's what we're after. That's what we were doing. And when you had a cast of characters on the other side, like Dusty and Magnum and the Rock and Roll, and, you know, Ronnie Garvin got the people's respect. When you had got people and characters that they really bought into and they really liked, it was easy if you were a heel to, you know, to get heat.
It's fun to go back and watch this stuff, especially appreciating, you know, just how much wrestling has changed. But what didn't change is back in February of 86, you were going to have not just wrestling matches on TV, but regular promos on TV. This is the same episode of World Championship Wrestling, February 22nd. And you're doing a promo here. Well, no, this is a syndicated show with Tony. Here we go.
Cornette defend against the team of Ron Garvin and Magnum TA. And let's bring in the world television champion, Arn Anderson, defending against Jimmy, the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant.
I feel good. Well, Valiant, you're not going to feel good simply about the fact that you got to be in Columbus, Georgia, number one. And number two, when you get there, all the dancing all the shaking of your fanny is not going to get you the grand prize. You're going to have to get out on that mat, which I know horrifies you, Valiant, and you're going to have to earn it. You got 20 minutes, which is a long time to be in the ring with me, period. But if you want this, all the dancing, all the handshake is not going to help you. You got to roll under that bottom rope and take this away from me. And Valiant, there's not a man on the face of the earth can beat me in 20 minutes.
Ron Garvin,
I loved watching the old syndicated shows like that because, and I believe in talking to Jim Crockett Promotions actually innovated that, the localized promo, where you would have a series of matches that you're going to show on TV, but then you would have these promos against a backdrop where you would show the time, date, location, and the phone number to get your tickets, the address of where to buy the tickets, the whole thing. And you would have the talent sort of tease the match, this Sunday night, brother, that whole thing. And as the legend goes, a lot of those were shot there in Charlotte, in the back of the office. There was like a little garage space, and one after another, it could be quite a marathon day. Tell me what went into those and how you got yourself prepared for a day long of promos.
Well, number one, are you not going to put over my Jimmy Valiant impersonation?
Buddy,
I feel good. I feel good.
It's tremendous.
That's
tremendous. I mean, listen, you heard it. You know how great it was. But I'll be honest. When I first heard it, I had to do a double take. Like, that was so close. And I know that was not the first time you had done it. You had been doing it to the boys as you make the towns or in the back or riding up and down the road. But no, that was hidden. That was good stuff, dude.
Were you caved and folded too easy?
Well, it was great, but I wonder, like, were you doing stuff like that just to pop the boys? Because it feels like if I'm going to have to do, we'll call it 20 of these in a fucking day, back to back to back, it can get monotonous and boring. And it feels like if everybody's sort of standing around doing the same thing, you might get out there and do that and be like, this is a way to just bring some levity to the situation.
Well, number one, I tried to not do any two the same.
Right.
Because it was practice.
Yeah.
It was getting reps. And what we figured out through very short time and effort is you had the opportunity to really personalize the market, which means if you're going to be staying over that night, you're going to be staying at the Marriott, you could plug the Marriott, which they appreciated. Trust me. Their bar made some serious coin that they wouldn't have made. We would mention a gym, a local gym. Hey, we're going to hit the ground rolling. We're going to stop at so-and-so's gym, da-da-da-da-da. We're going to go check at the Marriott, da-da-da. Now we're going to go down the arena, name the arena. And you had a chance to really personalize. There's Magnum calling again. Damn it. If he don't leave me alone.
Yeah. Tell him you're going to come, put hard times on him. You know how to do all the dirty tricks from 86.
Yeah. I'm just afraid he's got that one good one left in him and really kicks the shit out of me. Probably not be a good idea, but getting back to promos, unless you had a thought you want to make.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
No. It was just, again, it was a chance to personalize the town, get some reps in and try some stuff. And in those days, it was always on Wednesday. They would put two big boxes of fried chicken that they got from just up the street.
And that place just closed recently, right? Like in the last year?
Yeah, it was like a Chinese restaurant, I think, wasn't it? Or was
I thought it was like Price's Chicken or Prince's Chicken or something like that.
No. I know it's Price's.
Yeah.
Price's Chicken Coop. Is that where they got it?
Yes. And I believe, based on Jim Cornette, who, has a damn photographic memory. And as he tells the story, they would get what looked like two moving boxes. Like you would move, like if you're moving your house, and just fill it full of fried chicken. So the guys had something to eat as they're doing promos.
Well, yeah. And it was damn good too. It was a little hard if you ate too much of it to get up and have some energy on a promo.
Yeah.
If you're like me, you want to eat 5 thighs and take a nap.
Sure.
Just me. But Gene Anderson would come up, and the first time I met him, this is all parlays into promo day on Wednesdays. He came up and it felt like someone had took a pair of pliers and hooked them on my trap and jerked me out of my seat. The first time that he grabbed me on the trap and squeezed. What a grip. Even at this point in his life, what a grip he had. You're up, kid. You're up, kid. I go, Jesus Christ, Gene, you just ripped my trap off. I know. And he was the one responsible for shooing everybody out of if they had wandered off into another room and had borrowed the phone or, was just back there goofing or whatever. It was his job to get you in line for your promos. And he was a pretty good enforcer at that. All he had to do was grab you one time. Thing was, you would run through all these markets and all these different promos, and you would barely get done by about 4:30. And buddy, you had to go out and jump in your car and head to Raleigh, which was not 85 to 40 in those days. You had to go up 49, which is 2-lane road, and made that trip a lot harder and a lot longer. But it would continually, you would get to promos down there probably around 9 or 9:30 in the morning and run straight to departure time, drive up to Raleigh and back, which was whatever it was, 160, but a lot of it 2-lane road. And by the time you got back home, you'd had a full day, that's for sure. But it was your money. We figured out that's how you made your money. That's how you got over with the audience.
Well, you're over in Nashville on February 23rd. You and Tully are going to go to a draw with the Rock and Roll Express. On February 13th, you're at the Charlotte Coliseum. 12,000 plus, another sellout, but this is filmed for Japanese TV. They have a match here with Ricky and Robert against the Midnight Express. That's a pretty cool thing where you would have Japanese TV and come film a match in Charlotte, North Carolina. Do you remember this happening very often? That stuck out like a sore thumb to me. Is how cool that must have been.
I don't, and be honest with you, I don't remember that one. Was it just an isolated match that they were filming? Just
I believe
one?
so. I think so.
Which tells me they were planning on bringing that over and putting it on TV sometime.
At some point, I'm sure. Yeah.
That would have been the goal. I'm not sure if it came to fruition. If it would have, it would have just been a great opportunity for those guys to set themselves up for countless Japan trips to come, if need be. Of course, it wasn't need be at that point. Those guys were getting red hot, and that match was red hot.
Next up, we've got you in the main event of that same show, Dusty Rhodes and Arn Anderson in a steel cage Texas death match. But we're back on the road. You're fighting Ron Garvin to a draw in the main event on February 24th in Greenville. On the 25th, you're middle of the pack for a TV taping with Tony Zane. Of course, you're on the A side there. And then on the 28th, the last day of February, you're going on last to take on Dusty Rhodes, and it's at Township Auditorium. I want to mention it's 4,500 plus. This is a sellout. And believe it or not, it's the first time Columbia has been sold out since 1981. Does that tell you, hey, we're doing something? Towns we've never sold out, we're starting to sell out. And it's notable. This is not too terribly long after Superstars of the Superstation airs. It feels like if 2 and 2, can be put together in such a way, that's made a significant boost to the business here, has it not?
Either that or I was an over some bitch.
My apologies. It's probably that one. You're right.
Who was in that main event again? Say it. Go ahead.
That'd be Arn Anderson.
Yeah. People were clamoring to get in the building.
They were hanging from the rafters is what I heard.
Absolutely. And maybe there was even somebody hanging onto their back for the ones that was hanging from the rafters.
I was told the fire marshal almost got involved.
Sure, he took a payoff.
Let's see if there's a payoff from this syndicated promo. February 22nd, Mid-Atlantic. It's Arn Anderson doing what he does, talking a little trash.
World Television Champion Arn Anderson, fans.
Bob Cottle, I don't like to come out here and get in your face all hot and blowed up like a big blowfish, but every arena, it seems like every building I go to, or every mall I go to, or every restaurant I go to, some idiot is over in the background holding some sign, "You're next." What does "you're next" mean?
You're next, Arn.
What?
They're saying you're next. It's only Arn's next.
Well, if we're talking about what I think we're talking about, Dusty Rhodes, being the fact that you're going to attempt to break my leg, Bob Caudle, wouldn't that qualify as being a criminal offense, threatening a man about breaking his leg? Well, Dusty Rhodes, you're talking about you send your stooge out here, that painted lady out here to threaten me. I'm next. You're going to break my leg. Well, let me tell you something. This is the prize. This is what you want. Don't worry about looking for me, Dusty. I'm going to be looking for you. If you claim this is your belt, any arena in the world, you got 20 minutes to earn it. But you got to beat me, and nobody can do that.
Arn Anderson, the world television champion.
Well, we're going to find out, because in March, you start to have some pretty competitive matches on TV. There's even some matches that go 12 minutes. And back then, that was a pretty rare deal. I want to mention too, they showed some clips from Worldwide on the 22nd with you teaming with Flair against Dusty and Ron Garvin. So of course we saw Ron Garvin knock out Flair at the beginning of the month. And of course you and Dusty are tied up with the whole figure four, and you're hitting your groove here in late February of '86, or so it feels.
Yep. It's intermingling of angles, and you're getting some new groupings, which Ron and Dusty is a completely fresh match with them as partners. And the theme is television title, plus now Garvin's knocked out Flair, which means at any point, how do you look at me? Am I a target for Ron Garvin? Is he going to knock me out next? There's just a lot of things that you could intermingle and think about, and food for thought. And things are really heating up.
Let's play just a little bit of the finish of that match. Again, it's Garvin and Dusty on one side, Flair and Arn on the other. It's a tag match. It aired on syndicated TV, the Worldwide episode on February 22nd. This is the finish of the match. We'll take a listen and notice how hot this freaking crowd is, man.
Okay, that's the one save.
That's the one save. In a tag match, you had one save back then. Dusty had put the figure four on Flair. That looked like the end. You broke it up. Ron Garvin turns Rick around, knocks him out, dead as hell. You can't hear the commentators. The hard camera is shaking. The fans have lost their mind. So Dusty Rhodes looked like he was going to put hard times on Ric Flair with the figure four. You break it up. You're one save. As soon as Ron Garvin tries to even the odds, Tommy Young eases him out. That allows, with his back, for you to come back in. Now Tommy has to shoo you away, which serves as a distraction. He has his back turned, and Ron Garvin nails him with the biggest punch you ever saw. Down goes Flair. 1, 2, 3. Dusty gets the win. And people went bananas. It was a special moment. I mean, at that moment, immediately, any doubt about Ron Garvin being a top guy, he was cemented. I mean, he's teaming with Dusty Rhodes, and he just knocked out the world champion. That's pretty cool stuff.
It's how you make a guy in one fell swoop. That's exactly what happened. Now you have a legitimate challenger. Second time he's knocked Flair out, right?
Yeah.
Just not in a one-on-one for the title, which now if I'm a fan, I'm going, okay, when they get to that title match, Ronnie Garvin can beat Flair. And that was the idea, when you were champion back then, you were beatable, but you used every resource possible, even if it was just a huge gas tank to go 60-minute Broadway. If you were a heel champion, the only thing you could not do is get beat in a title match. 1, 2, 3.
Well, we hope that you can't beat Arn. It's every weekend here on Cumulus Podcast. Please hit the subscribe button. Let everybody know about your new favorite podcast. And I want to mention, if you've got an old school wrestling fan in your life and you want to introduce them to the show, perhaps the best way to do that is over on our YouTube channel. Check that out. Just look for the Arn Show over on Twitter or on YouTube, or hell, anywhere you enjoy podcasts or content. We're everywhere at the Arn Show. And I want to mention too that we've got some special bonus stuff we've been filming for adfreeshows.com. Isn't that right, Arn?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. There's a war games involving the NWO and a couple of the Horsemen and Luger and Sting as partners. That's unheard of. That's
a big
down
deal.
the road. Down
Big
the road
deal.
a way, quite a ways.
10 years after this, actually. That was 86, and then that was 96, and it's all happening at adfreeshows.com. You get interactive moments with Zoom, with all your favorite superstars, including Arn Anderson, and so much more. Check it out. It's adfreeshows.com. And if you'd like to advertise on the program, that's easy too. It's advertisewithconrad.com. Until next time, he is at the Arn Show. I am at Hey, it's Conrad, and we'll see you next week as we cover March of 1986 right here on Arn